please. What is going on, guys? It's Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and this is Marfoogle News. Welcome, welcome. We have a ton to talk about today, but first, let me go over something. This is a live show, so anything can happen. We're going to go over a lot of stories, and you can follow along on a second device. In fact, on our website, you can go to marfooglenews.com, and you'll see that this is all organized by thumbnail. You'll see that you'll look for this, and then once you go there, you can click on that thumbnail, and you will see, do we even have an option? Once you click that, you'll see that we back up everything we say with a source, so you know where our news is coming from. If we do say something that is not a sourced material, then we make sure to clarify so. At the very bottom, usually that's where we would have our callers. This is all updated live, so keep that in mind. And remember, you can get notifications from us. You can actually go and sign up for push notifications, so if the algorithm gods are not sending out them properly, you can always get our own. Again, I see a lot of people saying, I didn't get a notification. Make sure you sign up for ours, and that will be a guaranteed notification. On top of that, make sure to follow on Twitter at Marfoogle. That is also a good way. I always post the second we go live. We usually will post about an hour before and then post at that time. And then, just so you know, nothing in this show should be considered legal, medical, or financial advice. The views of the callers can differ considerably and do not necessarily reflect the opinions of myself, Dex, or anyone else with the show. You should always do your own research and consult with professionals, and the internet is full of fake news, so please take everything with a grain of salt. All right, let's get funky. All right. My name is Adam, a.k.a. Marf, and I'm going to introduce real quick. Dex is my co-host. He is updating everything live. If there's any breaking news, we will add that into our queue and actually add it onto the website as well. Dex, are you there, and can we do a sound check?
Hello, Adam. I am here, and hello, Foogle fam.
Just to make sure everybody knows, Dex is normally screening calls. We are going to hit through a lot of news tonight. We're not going to be doing calls Tuesday nights. We have not been. So remember, you can actually follow over and, again, go to that website to find all of these. So getting right into it, Elon Musk says that Mars will have glass domes for people to live in. Now, of course, there's a lot of quotes about his Mars trips and what's actually happening with this, and a lot of people actually wonder what is really going on. Why, all of a sudden, a few years ago, did we suddenly decide that we have to do this space race to Mars? A lot of folks are saying that there is a bigger reason for that, including myself. I don't think that every country in the world all of a sudden started trying to get to the moon out of nowhere. It's not like there's another race to be the first to the moon. It's not about, it's not about politics, in my opinion. I don't think it's to be the first one or to puff their chest out. I think that it is essential. Some would say that there is money to be made in space. You know, they keep putting it out there to put in the back of our heads. Oh, it's just for money. It's for these $7 billion asteroids. They keep, putting out these articles basically saying that there's a $7 trillion asteroid that Elon wants to mine it. I'm sure that goes along with it, but I don't think money will matter too much in the future. And if you actually look at what they say, even the most accepted stuff basically says in 20, 30, 40 years, the Earth is going to change a whole lot. In fact, we just got to quantum computing. We got to all of these things. They are talking about connecting us with AI, connecting us with computers. We are creating robots that are literally replacing regular jobs for regular people. So what is going to happen? If you were to replace every job with a robot, well, what kind of jobs would people have? Well, what if they didn't? What if there was a caste type system? What if there were the people that are kind of like royalty that is passed down, the people that currently have a ton of money right now, the 1%. And actually, it's kind of crazy if you think about it that way. We know for a fact that 1% of the population of the entire world has more money than the other 99%. So if you think about that, that would be a good basis to go forward and to have those people in charge, and then that kind of goes down. There's a movie which I ended up actually getting, or actually a show called The Barrier, and I ended up actually getting and using my friend's Netflix for this. I canceled my own, and I will say I ended up trying to get onto it just to watch this show because people kept telling me this is really freaky. It is a foreign show, and it basically, what it says and what it shows is kind of a repeat of history of Germany and WW2 of basically this kind of scenario only in the future. But what's really freaky about it is that it is actually pretty imaginable, I guess. It's not imaginative, it's actually imaginable. At this point, where we're at right now, I don't think any person truly realizes, and it really has set in, what kind of world we are in right now. I'm going to explain that through kind of some of the stories. I'm not going to go too far into it, but again, we have 5 o'clock curfews for alcohol in some places, checkpoints, all sorts of things happening right now. So I think it's starting to really seep in that our entire world has just been flipped upside down, and it is changing rapidly. So when you then go and watch something like The Barrier, it really starts to settle in that this is not a crazy idea. This is actually a possibility, even in a place where I am, which is the United States. So this is, again, something I've talked about for years. I believe that we have something either coming, and I do believe we have something coming either way, but I do think that maybe they know something, or they have experts that have basically sat down with the White House and leaders of the world and the UN and said, hey, no matter what, this is going to happen, and we're going to either have to cut some people out, or we're going to have to figure out some other way to do this whole Earth thing. And I'm not saying it's because of warming or cooling or anything. That's a whole separate argument right now. I'm talking about the danger to the Earth itself. So is it pollution? Is it this or that? Who knows? But what I do know is that I have heard from many people, and some of them high ranking, that this is something that is a touchy subject that is being talked about, and it is up at the highest levels that they won't let some of this come down. And if you do tattle on some of this stuff, there are serious consequences. Consequences that basically we've talked about, that, you know, all these people deserve for this kind of stuff, but they don't actually do. There are consequences to this worse than Gitmo. We'll just say that. So lots of things happening as we speak. But I have said that I think we have something coming our way. They know about almost all of the NEOs, or at least they say they do, right? I think they have already found one that has a track directly to us. Or if it's not that, it is a large object, say a Class 2 gas giant that's on its way that could affect gravity on Earth or something like that. Again, this is my thoughts. We source the stuff that we are. I'm clarifying that this is my thoughts. And I know that there's a lot of you that agree with me, and then there's some of you that totally hate what I'm saying. Somebody said a bit ago, they said, oh, you know, you could be doing this and that. Instead, you're covering this, you know, asteroid hoax. I'm not saying anything. I'm telling people to prepare for events, but also that's not what gets the numbers. That's not what gets people there, is this thing that I've been talking about for years, and I've mentioned for now at least 2 years. It doesn't bring me any extra numbers viewer-wise. It doesn't bring me any extra people. It's not going viral, and I know that because I've done it every day and I've talked about it every week. So there's no change in it. I'm not covering it just to cover it. I'm covering it because I believe it. So, and it's not that crazy to think about that we've had stuff coming into our atmosphere left and right. It seems like right now, especially with people having cell phones, people are catching things coming in on a daily basis. Literally daily. You can go to Twitter and just type in #Meteor and you'll see a current video every single day. Now, people would say, well, that's normal. Some of it, I don't believe is. So that's just my thought. That's my opinion. I'm allowed to that, and you guys are allowed to yours. Make sure to comment below what you think is actually going on. And then it says, with Elon Musk increasingly thinking about making humanity a multi-planetary species, talk has turned to where people would live. Naturally, the enigmatic Musk has a plan for that. The 49-year-old SpaceX CEO said in order to build a city on Mars, humans would have to live in glass domes at first. Eventually, the red planet would be terraformed to support life, like Earth, Musk tweeted. It said that process will be, quote, too slow to be relevant in our lifetime. So we won't see this, right? He said, well, again, he's the same person who says we'll see Mars in our lifetime, but not terraformed. This is for the future, and this is for the future of the species. And he said this to a lot of people that he's met with recently after some of his speeches, after some of his interviews. Even heard that the gentleman, the kind of self-proclaimed nerdy tech guy, the MKBH3D or whatever on YouTube, that even he said once the cameras turned off that there was talk of, your future's not on this planet. So that's pretty crazy. It says at least a future spacefaring civilization discovering our ruins will be impressed humans got that far. It says in 2015, Musk discussed putting a city on Mars after a successful rocket landing by SpaceX. NASA's long-term goal is to send a manned mission to Mars in the 2030s. So notice how this has actually changed, I believe. They said that the first, I know that I thought it was 2022 and 2024. Dex, has something changed on his timeline? Because I thought maybe he was just saying too big of words, or is he not sending them in 22 or 24, or is that a different thing?
That may be the author, not him. Although, and that may be what he said in 2015 too.
Ah, gotcha.
That would have changed. Yeah, it's either the author or what he said back then. He says a lot of things.
It says Musk published a paper in June 2017 on making humanity a multiplanetary species, laying out plans for having as many as 1 million people on Mars. Now, most people think this is a big joke, but there's billions and trillions of dollars going into it, and this is what is actually happening. Now, there are some that say that there's nothing out there, that it doesn't even exist, that this could all be a simulation, or this is just one big dome. That's fine, too. You're totally... basically, my thought on that is neither one of us has been to space, so neither one of us can prove it. We can bring up all the arguments for and against, but again, neither one of us has been to space, so can't really say anything. That's why I stay open-minded, just because I've never been there. And being open-minded is much harder nowadays than it used to be, isn't it? So last month, Musk, who once advocated dropping nuclear weapons on Mars to make it more habitable, set a 4-year timeline for unmanned SpaceX missions to Mars, but cautioned that the timeline was only a guess. So I guess that's where it came in. It says in 2018, the SpaceX and Tesla CEO said that there was a 70% chance he would move to Mars, but with the caveat that there was a good chance of dying on the way to the red planet. 2 years prior, he laid out an ambitious plan to put human life on Mars. What do you guys think about this? As far as you have all of these societies, you've got Asgardia, the space nation that has done basically a part of it is a huge amount of elites are signing up for it, and they are actually doing the real stuff to create a sovereign nation in space. They are signing all of their, they're dotting all their T's and dotting their Q's, or whatever you want to say. They are signing stuff. They're doing all the paperwork to make it official. In fact, I think it already is. And you're talking about, people have always said, oh, that's just some stupid thing where you can like name a star and you get a little certificate. It is for the regular people. But if you look at the list of the people that are actually at the top and that are boarding this thing, they are Yale, Harvard, Stanford, graduates. These people are Ivy League people that all have extremely respectful positions, and they're doing this crazy thing, Asgardia. Something doesn't sit right. You've got over 3,000 CEOs that have left in the last year and a half alone. 2019 had a great exodus, and 2020 even had a bigger one. In 2019, it was before this whole event that, has changed the world. So why did they all get out right before it? It seems seems odd. And when we say great exodus, it's actually called that because over 3,000 of the most powerful people in the world stepped down. A lot of them at a weird time. Like, why did you step down? You've got 3 years left on your contract, or, you're 24 years old and you had nothing lined up and you're going to retire even though they're basically handing you free money. That's weird. You're not going to another company? Okay, that's weird too. What do you guys think? As far as you guys know my opinion, what is yours?
Hey, Adam.
Yeah.
The notion. So one thing, the author was incorrect in that article about being last month that he was talking about nuking Mars. That was actually last month, a year ago. But the interesting thing about him talking about nuking Mars, I don't know if you recall that when he said it, but he's talking about doing a low fallout nuclear fusion explosions that are like a continuous stream happening in the atmosphere that would, as he referred to it, create an artificial sun. Have you ever heard of it called that way?
Yeah, so I think we talked about that about 4 or 5 months ago. And isn't that kind of the same? Is this related to the theory that they could put it in the middle of hurricanes? Sort of, the other ways that they've tried to use nukes as far as kind of the different things it can do as far as the atmosphere? Or am I totally off?
I think there's probably some correlation there, but it sounds to me like what he's doing, what he's proposing is creating the equivalent of the heat from the sun, but in the upper atmosphere to obviously melt off the polar caps on Mars. But this whole notion of an artificial sun, which I know we've talked about, China and other people have mentioned, we've talked about it before, but this was his way of creating an artificial sun, was this continuous stream of fusion explosions, low fallout fusion explosions.
Okay, so take that into place. And just like he said, the Chinese have actually been designing, and they have teamed up, and I believe it was a multinational project as far as creating a false sun. I'll just show you guys this real quick, since I believe this is going to fall into the extremely important category very soon. Let's see here. Makes sun. So once you see this, you'll understand what I'm talking about. It says China built an artificial sun to achieve nuclear fission energy. Is this something related? Is this something related to the world and what they need? Are they having all of these different countries focused on this one project because we have to do it? Are the smartest and the brightest and the best minds in the world all focused on how we could live on some other planet that's not supposed to be habitable? That's just a question. Of course, it's an opinion. Or is it all a smokescreen on top of a smokescreen that is actually doing something for another reason? Is there something that's coming here, or something that's going to happen where we have to have a artificial sun and an artificial moon? Which, if you didn't know, and again, a lot of the people that follow every night, which I already see a lot of you in here already, thank you, that you guys know we covered the artificial moon as well. And this is something we're going to see not only in our lifetime, these things are going on right now. So China is also producing an artificial moon. Check this out. And for those of you that know this, it's like, oh yeah, I already knew. But for those who don't, are you kind of blasted away that they're making an artificial sun and an artificial moon? It says the night skies might soon have company. Chinese scientists are planning to launch an artificial moon into orbit by 2020 to illuminate city streets after dark. Scientists estimated that it could be 8 times more luminous than the actual original moon. Why? Understandably, some have said that it's actually to save money for street lights and things like this. You won't need to. You're going to have a permanent light source up in the sky. Is that not freaking scary? It's crazy. So what do you think is actually going on? What's up with all of the moon missions? We'll talk about that here in a second. Now we're going to fly through some of these, but man, this is, again, China launches moon mission seeking to be the first country in decades to collect lunar rocks. It says China launched a spacecraft without a crew aboard towards a previously unexplored part of the moon on Tuesday in a bid to bring back material that could help scientists better understand the satellite and planets beyond Earth. It says only the United States and the Soviet Union have successfully brought back the lunar material back to Earth in missions launched several decades ago. Chang'e 5 launched from the Weichang Launch Center in Hainan Province Tuesday. It says that this mission is named for the Chinese goddess of the moon. So for some of those who are into symbology, I'm sure there's something like that, probably Joseph Newhouse or something like that. Look into the Chinese goddess of the moon. I'm sure that there's some crazy stuff there. It says the Long March 5th launch rocket carrying for the Chang'e 5's 4 modules, the lander, the ascent vehicle, the service capsule, and the return capsule, began its fueling process Monday, Chinese state media reported. The lander is scheduled to touch down in an area called Oceanus Paracellum or Procellum. It says, and stay on the moon 1 lunar day, the equivalent of around 2 weeks on Earth. Weird. It says, once there, it will attempt to dig out about 7 feet into the ground, then transfer the collected material into the ascender. According to the NASA, never answer a straight question, or never a straight answer. The ascender will then dock with the service capsule, at which point the samples will be transferred to a return capsule. That capsule will then return to Earth, where it's expected to land in Inner Mongolia early next month. It says the mission's goal is to collect about 4.5 pounds of material for research. Why now? Something just is so weird about this. The whole thing. It's just, it has never really made sense to me, the whole thing. But again, researchers shed light on the mechanism of solar flares. Out of Kolkata, it says November 20th, solar flares or sudden explosions of energy caused by tangling, crossing, or reorganizing of magnetic field lines near sunspots in active regions have been probed by scientists for years, and much of it still remains a mystery. It says, in order to delve deep into the intrigue of the solar flares, solar physicists have explored the first evidence of a significant number of plasma blobs, which they have observed associated with the biggest solar flare of the decade on September 10th, 2017. Their statistical analysis of the plasma blobs, or plasmoids, which are aftermaths of the solar flare, reveal a very hot current sheet with temperature over 20 million Kelvin. So, light on the mechanism of solar flares. Pretty weird. Dex, what do you have something?
What they're actually doing here is they've created a model from this, so they can actually measure now more accurately what the effect of a solar flare will be based on the actual flare itself. So that's, I guess, think of it as the next level of prediction. When these things happen, that they'll be able to determine what type of effect it may or may not have, or how strong a particular flare will be based on these models that they've built now, these new models, obviously using supercomputers.
So things like this are going to pop up now that they have quantum computing. They're going to do a whole lot of stuff that some of it we will not know about. As far as discoveries that have probably already been discovered by quantum computing, the thing that I think a lot of people don't realize about these quantum computers, they might change physics. That's why when people say, they don't believe that, there's anti-gravity or things like this, if there's not, I think there will be, because things are going to change. Things are going to change very quickly. Now that we're at this point, things are going to be absolutely nuts. We're living in this world right now. If you haven't noticed, you can go to any store or any state or any country, and the world has fundamentally changed because of this event. People didn't think that could happen worldwide, everywhere. It doesn't matter where you go. Isn't that crazy? I think so. Thank you, Pearly. Thank you, Mama of 6. Thank you, Youper Viking. for any of you guys who are supporting right now, and thank you for all of the new folks that have joined tonight. I'll be shouting you guys out as well. If you guys want to help support the show in a different way, I would highly, highly recommend looking into EMP Shield. EMP Shield is an actual protection against solar flares, so in case we do not predict it, then you can actually protect your own home or your car or even your generator. People say, I've got solar system and generator. Well, what if those get fried? Do you have a Faraday cage that's big enough to house all of that? Probably not. So again, you can go with what the governments and different agencies are doing to protect it. Certain agencies have used EMP Shield like DHS, DOD, and now the DEMSO team is officially having EMP Shield help them protect their grid. So go to marfooglenews.com/EMP. You will get $50 off per device using our code, and that is in combination with whatever sale they might run. You can get your home, your solar generator.
I just checked. Yeah, I just checked, and they already launched their Black Friday sale, so you guys can get some serious deals because you can combine them. I double-checked. It still works.
Okay, so again, just like the Veterans Day sale, they did our code. You can actually combine that with whatever sale they're running. So if they're doing Black Friday, if you've waited, this is probably the best time as far as they've done last year around Black Friday. People said that they got the best deal of that entire year. So I hope it kind of sucks for the people that might have got it 3 or 4 months ago, but I think that if you are waiting, this would be the time, especially with all the sales. Speaking of Black Friday, everybody is saying that they're doing these Black Friday sales and they're not doing anything special on that day. What do you guys think about this as far as just, family to family? Do you think they're actually not doing anything special on Black Friday? How do you think that this affects the economy? Is it all just a bunch of BS anyways? If you look at some of the deals, Dex, have you looked at some of the stuff that is actually on Black Friday sale? I mean, there are some good deals, but it's not like the craziness of any year prior. It just seems to me...
I haven't found anything that I was really excited about. I mean, my kids were dying for the new game console that came out, and that was about it. But that's already sold out, so...
Oh, yeah, PS5 or Xbox, whatever.
Whatever it is.
I saw an argument. People were threatening this person on Facebook. My wife was like, look at what's happening here. The guy bought 8 PS5s, the digital edition or whatever, and he was selling them for $1,000 each. And people were super mad, saying, how could you do this? There's kids, there's moms that didn't get it. And basically he argued, and I agreed with him at the end of it. He said, if you pre-ordered it, there was unlimited pre-orders up to a certain date. So if you had the wherewithal and you had the money to pay for it back then, you could get as many as you wanted, or you could get it, and there was no cutoff. Once that stopped, basically he proved his point that, hey, I thought of it. For those that didn't, it's supply and demand. One thing that is fundamentally right with that, though, is that's supply and demand. And I actually don't, I think that if everybody wants something and it's all out, I think you can charge extra. Is that wrong? Do you guys not agree? I know that some of you are probably mad at that because maybe you had an experience where you tried to get something and you couldn't get it because somebody's charging an absurd amount. But honestly, if he bought, say, even 1 or 2, what would make it worth his time to sell it instead of keep it? I don't know. I think that the whole thing right now, remember Elmo and all that, this has gone on forever. People were saying, like, who would do this and this and that? I mean, people have done it for years and years and years. Buy the popular thing and then resell it for more. People that want to get it for their kids are going to pay the extra.
Except for those people that bought Dreamcast.
Did you really just do a Dreamcast joke?
I thought it was good.
That's only like 1% of our viewers are going to get that. CIA chiefs are asking, has Moscow been secretly microwaving our spies for years? My thought, yes. We've covered this for 3 years at least. I remember back in the embassy, and this has happened many times in many of our embassies, that these guys were getting headaches, they were having ringing ears, all this kind of stuff. And they think it may be some sort of portable thing that they can actually use against whole buildings or whole areas. They can even set the distance. So if somebody's beyond a wall, they can use this thing and actually fry their inner workings. One thing to think about is some of the news that we've covered as far as now scientists are actually separating our brain waves, and they're able to tell the circuit, the I guess the pulse that comes out of our brain when we're walking, when we're standing, when we're sitting, all those kind of things. Now they can actually read from the outside of our mind, reading our minds. And if they take that and then isolate it and figure out a way to do it the opposite way, think about if they could make you on demand with a special machine or a certain wave, a wavelength, make you sit down. Make it so powerful that it goes back in and it triggers your brain to stop or sit down. That's something I think that they've been working on. That's just my opinion. Think about it. And think about that story we showed you just last week. They have now separated a lot of these things so they can, they're at the very beginning of reading minds. And then think about how quantum computing, they can put questions in there from the little they find out and then discover all sorts more. It's crazy. It says, has Moscow been secretly microwaving our spies for years? CIA investigates after the world was shocked by claims Indian troops had been cooked alive by an electromagnetic pulse weapon. It says there are many hardships facing Indian soldiers posted to the icy Himalayan hilltops along the disputed border with China, but no one expected this. It says one moment they felt healthy and alert, eyes peeled for the signs of their aggressive neighbors' troops. Then within less than 1 minute, they began to vomit almost simultaneously as if struck down by a violent stomach bug. I want you guys to listen to this very carefully. Within 1 minute, several troops all started vomiting. It says the soldiers' bodies grew weak, with some barely able to stand, and they fled, leaving the hilltops open for units of Chinese soldiers to move in and occupy. Not a shot had been fired. Now, put that at the end to make it sound like, oh, that's great. Nobody was hurt. But this is one of the scariest weapons I think I've ever heard of. You won't know what happened. All of a sudden, you and your 50 other colleagues are vomiting, and you just have to run. If they have that technology, so do we. This is something that I hope does not get turned into a big thing. If they wanted, people say they couldn't take over. There's too much of us and too little of them, of kind of a world revolution. But if they have things like this, I don't think numbers would matter. They're changing things right now. They're putting themselves in a super power play. Pretty crazy stuff. What do you guys think about that weapon? Gem, thank you. I saw a couple Ninja Guineas over on DLive. I'm sorry I missed them. I'll make sure to go and check who that was. Uber Viking, Southern Ninja, thank you so much. Gone Girl, 777, thank you so much for being here. Thank you for supporting. And Johnson, thank you for being here as well. Thanks for gifting subscriptions to Dark Brain and others. I love Chihuahuas. I don't believe I've seen your name here before. Ironbird21, J9 Texas Sunshine is here yet again. Thank you so much. Maui Racing Realtor, Pearl. The fact that I believe it is what is scary. That's Pearl J or Pearl. The truth is out there. That Chowky Gal got my Marfoogle News bumper sticker today. That's awesome, Gone Girl. Are you going to put it on your bike? Or I don't know. Do you have a car or do you just ride? Anyways, thank you, Gone Girl. That's awesome. Again, if you didn't miss it the other day, I said there's a few of you that I'd be glad to talk to on the phone. Matrix 45, Jenny Bop, thank you so much for following. Sam Quiggs, thank you for the lemon. Then we have Tattoo Mike, thank you so much for the Ninja Guinea, the second highest compliment on DLive. San Diego in the house, thank you so much. Badger Babe, Chevy Mike, thank you guys. All right, so going into this, and then I'm going to hit over on YouTube next. Navy denies a Russian warship forced one of its destroyers out of the disputed Pacific waters. Russia says that one of its destroyers threatened to ram the American warship to drive it out of an area of the Sea of Japan. It says Russia says that the crew aboard the Udaloy class destroyer Admiral Vinogradov, which has been involved in at least one near collision in recent years, threatened to use a ramming maneuver as it ejected the U.S. Navy's Arleigh Burke class destroyer USS John S. McCain. It says from what it claims are its territorial waters in the Peter the Great Gulf and Sea of Japan. It says the U.S. 7th Fleet has confirmed that the Navy ship was conducting a rare so-called Freedom of Navigation Patrol, or FONOP, to challenge Russia's excessive maritime claims in the area. But it denies it was forced to leave. So they're saying they forced them, but that they're saying that they didn't. Russian Ministry of Defense said that the apparent altercation between Admiral Vinogradov and John S. McCain occurred at 6:17 a.m. Moscow time, or 3:17 a.m. General Mountain time, on November 24th, this morning, in the Peter the Great Gulf, according to the state-run media outlet TASS. This body of water extends from Russia's border from NK to Cape Potronoti on the Sea of Japan in Russia's far east, lying on the Gulf of Vladivostok. Now, if you remember, this is a very important point. This is where a lot of their stuff, people say that they're bringing a ton of secret weapons to this place. This has been in other news. Dex, I don't know if you remember that, but we've covered previous stories about Vladivostok and kind of the scary stuff that's going on there. They're doing joint drills.
Was that also where one of the subs was?
I think so. Was that the exploding? This is something. If you remember, I'm just going off of memory. If you remember why this is important, feel free to put it in the chat. There's something that is up with this place. Gone Girl, again, thank you so much. GBY, Adam and family, thank you, Sandy333. Appreciate that. Yes, been here. Used to be Stormy73. Happy holidays. Love Chihuahuas. I thought you were familiar. And then we have, again, with that, as far as Russia goes, put that in there if you have that. Laser fusion reactor approaches burning plasma milestone. It says that on October 2010, in a building the size of 3 U.S. football fields, researchers at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory powered up 192 laser beams, focused their energy into a pulse with the punch of a speeding truck. It says, and fired it at a pellet of nuclear fuel the size of a peppercorn. So began a campaign by the National Ignition Facility, or NIF, to achieve the goal it is named for: igniting a fusion reaction that produces more energy than the laser puts it in. It says a decade and nearly 3,000 shots later, NIF is still generating more fizz than bang. Hampered by the complex, poorly understood behavior of the laser targets, when they vaporize and implode, but with new target designs and laser pulse shapes, along with better tools to monitor the miniature explosions, NIF researchers believe that they are close to an important intermediate milestone known as burning plasma, a fusion burn sustained by the heat of the reaction itself, rather than the input of the laser energy. Self-heating is the key to burning up all the fuel and getting runaway energy gain. Once NIF reaches the threshold, simulations suggest that it will have an easier path to ignition. It says, whoever sees it, we're pushing as hard as we can, he says. You can feel the acceleration in our understanding. Outsiders are impressed too. You kind of feel like there's steady progress and less guesswork. Now, Dex, can you explain? There's something huge here, and they're using a lot of technical jargon.
It is very technical. So
to prove that if they can spend, let's just say, if you could spend $1 and get back $1 million, wouldn't it be a great deal? So the idea here is if they can put in 193 lasers, but get back the power of like 20,000 or 20 million lasers in electrical power back.
I feel like this is potentially going to be a gigantic discovery. This is one day right here. This could be unlimited energy. Think about if they could turn this into an energy source and power. I mean, this is like the technical version of putting down one fish and turning it into 5,000. Is that right?
Yep, exactly.
It's
minus the dilithium crystals.
It's the Jesus laser. This is just yet another discovery. I mean, look at just this week. It's hard to keep track of how fast we're moving because it's every day. We just all of a sudden have 3 gigantic discoveries that, again, could play into a part of changing every piece of information we know as we know it. I think that this is a bigger deal than we realize.
And that's a pretty big facility too, Adam.
I don't think
3 football fields is huge for laser beams.
And I think these things are gigantic. I think that most people would see this and not read past the first line. It's just not interesting to most people to even care. But I think that this is way more important than we realize because things like this will go. It's kind of like if you were a computer person, which I wasn't when it was back in the 386, 486 days. If you were, though, and you knew that inside and out, they added things gradually. And if you did know, then you knew the fundamentals. And as it got more advanced and more advanced, you could open a computer and you could do all this stuff. You could do all sorts of things. But to learn it now at not knowing anything, it's a whole lot to learn. This is just one more step towards it. And the people that understand how important this is huge. This may play a part in our daily life at some point. Who knows? Yeah,
I'm even thinking, outside of just producing energy, this same type of technology could probably be some sort of fueling for space travel. You could just imagine if you can output more power than you can put into it.
Think about it. It could be the hyperdrive. I mean,
exactly.
It could be you put in something. It could be going to hyperspace. It's really crazy. And then if you get navigational tools that can, say this, if you could also use it for lasers to check out what's in front of you if you're in space, just talking Star Trek here. That, the thing I never got about all the space movies is how they go into hyperdrive and they go millions and millions of miles and not hit anything. I always thought even if they hit a rock or something. But if you did have the technology to look infinite amount of distance and see everything that's in front of you and then pick a clear path, then it would be possible to, just jet into it. Other than the human effects that going that fast would do. But all of these things are being discovered. Pennsylvania governor issues an alcohol curfew after 5 p.m. on Thanksgiving Eve. I can already tell people are going to be just absolutely nuts over this. For good reason. What? Pennsylvania is among the many states that have recently updated their guidelines urging citizens to avoid gatherings with non-household members, which means the traditionally big family reunions on Thanksgiving Day will not take place this year. Pennsylvania Governor Tom Wolf and the state's health secretary, Dr. Rachel Levine, have announced new CV restrictions in order to slow down the spread. It says the new order prohibits restaurants and bars from selling alcoholic beverages after 5 p.m. local time on Wednesday and expires 8 a.m. on Thanksgiving Day. In addition to that, Pennsylvanians are encouraged to stay home and avoid festive gatherings with non-household members. Wolf added that the law enforcement will be stepping up efforts to ensure citizens comply with the restrictions, including citations and fines. Telework must continue unless impossible. We strongly advise our residents only leave home for work and school or for essential needs. Wear a mask when not at home. Refrain from household gatherings with non-household members. Avoid unnecessary travel in plus outside Pennsylvania. That is what Levine said at a press conference on Monday, that celebrations with members of an extended family or close friends, it's a risk. So one of the things here is that people are saying, what does the alcohol part have to do with it? Well, I think most of the people saying that this is even a thing is because you make worse decisions, I guess.
The thing I was thinking, Adam, is what day? I mean, is that like a big boozing day? I mean, it's not St. Patty's Day. It's the day before Thanksgiving. I have never gone out in my life and boozed one up the day before Thanksgiving.
Okay, you are going to get a ton. That's the kind of person you are too. And
I'm too old.
When I used to drink, the holidays are the worst, dude. You are tripping. People get so wasted before holidays, especially family holidays. Christmas and Thanksgiving are like the worst, especially for drivers. You aren't somebody who, you drink like, you're a regular person who drinks at a holiday or drinks at a football game and nothing else. I used to drink a lot from 20 to 27. Really screwed up my insides. Probably why I have diverticulitis now. But during those years, yeah, you hang out with people that drink during that day. You hang out with, it's the people that surround you. But when I went to the bar on the day before Thanksgiving, there were tons. I mean, that's the loneliest day ever. If you don't have a family, you're in a bar, which is kind of sad, because if you don't have a family and you're trying to go to the bar at 5 p.m., no good on Pennsylvania. I think, just as happy as Thanksgiving is, almost every family has a real life, it's not happy at the same time. Some family gatherings, it brings up a lot of stuff. I mean, everybody's got a messed up family. Do you guys agree? I don't know. Let's ask the people. Do you guys go out on Thanksgiving Eve as a party day? Nobody has to work the day after too. That's another good reason why most people did it, because things are still open. Younger people especially, and everything was closed. You didn't have to work on Thanksgiving, so you could be hammered the night before. I don't know. I think. I don't
know. I couldn't handle dealing with my family with a hangover. That would make it worse, but that's just me. I think I get what you're saying, and I'm sure you're spot on.
Gone Girl 7 said it used to be toasted on Thanksgiving, but too old now. Somebody says it's not the drinking that's the problem; it's dehydration. That's true. I used to always drink a glass of water for every drink I had, and I wouldn't get hangovers after I learned that. Not anymore. So stay drunk, Minionator. That was Alaska Freeze. Yeah. I think I think most people have an early 20s experience like that. Oh, I've got a hangover. Give me a beer. You wake up and drink again, John Connor. Spot on, LOL. I used to, but now I have to cook. Once you get far enough away from drinking it, you don't even think about it. It's gross, actually. I used to drink IPAs, and now it was like 3-4 years ago, I tried it 122 of like this really fancy IPA, and I got super just nauseous. I used to drink the powerful stuff, the 8% to 12%. Ugh. Yeah, a lot of people agreed in the chat. Tons of people said, yeah, that is a time. Fairy Spirit 2112, this will only cause rebellion. Talking of this restriction. I have a messed up country, Canada, says Raging Humanist. I think Canada's going through their own things too. I've seen some of the stuff that's going on with Trudeau, and you guys are having your issues as well. So, we speak a lot about how it is right here in the United States, but in Europe and in Australia and in Canada, you guys are going through all the same stuff. It's really, really hard. What do you guys think about this? Put it in the comments below. Make sure to be nice. And then, of course, if you guys want to help us in a different way, please make sure to check out Nord. NordVPN is a virtual private network. It's really easy to use. In fact, it has such a simple program that you download it and you just turn it on. It has a mode where it just does it for you. Super, super easy, and it will protect you, especially in public places if you're using Wi-Fi. This is probably one of the most important things you should have on your devices as far as if you are doing public stuff using cafe Wi-Fis and things like this. People will literally sit in a cafe and try to fish information from people in it. If you've ever noticed, if you go to Starbucks, there's some people that sit there all day, every day and get one coffee every couple hours. Some of those people are trying to get your identity and everything else. They can even break in if you're not using it. If you have the automatic settings set up so you just hook up to the nearest Wi-Fi, which is smart. It's a cool thing. But when there's people like that out there, it's not. You can actually put this on a cell phone as well. Go to marfooglenews.com/VPN. It helps the show out, and it gets you a giant savings. Use the code Marfoogle, and you will get a good deal. Up to 70% off on a 3-year plan. I think that's, or 68%. Pretty close. And then Shanghai Airport is plunged into chaos after a worker tested positive. This is crazy. So, Dex, I'm gonna go over some of this, and then I would like you to kind of explain what happened here. But first, I wanted to say thank you, Haunted Doll. My parents both owned bars, and Thanksgiving Eve is one of the biggest bar nights of the year. That's what I thought too. I mean, especially when you're a single 20-year-old guy, it's like, yeah.
You learn something new every day on this show, Adam. I love it.
That shows who you are too. You're not. I think your vice is being too professional. You're a workaholic, so I get that. Everybody has their addictions. You're a workaholic. Inner City Shepherdese says, hey, y'all, please go give Survival Living some love. Great channel for preps and great guy. I agree with that. Survival Living, aka CFP, he's been going through just some hard stuff, and he's been trying to get out videos. It's hard to do social media when you've got just things hammering you left and right. So make sure to go show Survival Living some love. I think it all depends on what you're reselling. If it's a want, absolutely okay. If it's a need, you're a horrible human. So exactly. So if it's PlayStation 5, is that a necessity? No. If you're that's a perfect point, Haunted Doll. If you're selling masks for $40, that's a different story. If you're selling toilet paper, that's a D move. But if it's something like PlayStation 5, those moms could have got it before or whatever. It's a video game. That's not a necessity. That's supply and demand. If it's a Lego set, for instance, if it's an old retired set, that's supply and demand. But if it's a necessity that somebody needs to live or to get by, that is a very good point. You totally switched my head on that. Survival Living, thank you so much. Martin Hernandez, thank you for subscribing. Welcome. And as always, if you subscribe during the show, you will get a shout out. Same with Richard White, thank you. Yolanda Simone, thank you for being the last one out last night. And then again, Marvin Boggs, help our retailers buy local. Great point, Marvin. Absolutely true. So what happened in Shanghai? This is a big deal. Wasn't there over 100 or thousands of people there that ended up being herded? Is this what happened?
Yeah, when it was originally reported, they were saying up to 100,000 people. I don't know exactly what the number is, but just imagine there's a busy airport in Shanghai, obviously a very busy airport. Out of the blue, 2 people tested positive, and boom, they shut everything down and herd everyone in for everyone to be evaluated before they can leave and or put in queue, right? Queuatine, right? So it was just chaos. And what was crazy was all of these people were like, I'm not doing this. They're wanting to leave. They're pushing through, and you've got, officials in hazmat suits starting to line up. So the first thing that came to my mind is, what did they test for, right? I mean, of course the news story is CV, but is it something different that was so serious that they had to put such a mass lockdown, or is that just the way they're going to operate there? And is this a foreshadow to something we need to be thinking about in our lives here and around the rest of the world?
Well, and their reaction it says a lot. It could either mean one thing or the other. It's very confusing for somebody that has a certain kind of thought about what everything, what's going on right now. If you're of the mindset that this is all kind of produced, I guess, then you would think, why are they doing it there especially? Or was there something else going on, something like that? Otherwise, are they taking it seriously? Is there something that we don't know about? Is it mutating? Is it getting worse? The other thing was, in the very beginning of this, not knowing a lot of the stuff, they haven't isolated it, this and that. A lot of people were saying, why would they have such a response? There was kind of one of three things. One thing that I think is still possibly possible is that secretly scientists or the people above leaders that have looked at it have said this is going to mutate into something so bad it's going to wipe everybody out and we can't stop it. So now we've got to set this up. That was one thing, because why else would we be doing this, right? Second way was, of course, that this was for a system to do this. To do this to the public. It could be, right? There's that. And they want to control. Or three, it's a combination, or it's something legit, but they are taking advantage of it, or something to that notion. None of us know as regular peons, but what I can say from talking to people of high-ranking military and a few at agencies that deal with some of the emergency response, the one thing that's consistent is that there's no consistency. That's something that it's like they're getting one memo saying one thing and one memo saying the other. So something is going on. And I believe that a lot of you have your friends and family call you crazy for thinking that. But you're not crazy here. I don't think you're crazy for wondering anything. We should be able to wonder and question everything that's going on right now. And if we can't, then you might have been rooting on the wrong person. Says the airline industry begins to plan for passports for international travel. One thing, though, is that this is worldwide. It's everywhere. So they should, I wonder why don't they just have a system like, if it's not different, I guess this is where mutation or something could come in, right? The International Air Transport Association, or the IATA, said Monday it's, quote, in the final development phase of a mobile digital passport app that would tell airlines if international travelers have been against. The app would help, quote, get people traveling again safely. IATA's Nick Kareen said in a statement by, quote, giving governments confidence that systematic 19 can work as a replacement for these kind of requirements for putting people in an area for a while, right? So you think that this is crazy, right? This is happening and this is going to happen, and I don't know what to say about that, honestly. But there's even more craziness. I'll talk about that here in a second. Dex, do we have? I don't think I have the one of Florida. Or did we not include that?
No, we don't have that here. We're doing that. So everybody should stay tuned to Marfoogle News. We're going to put that out over there.
Okay. We're going to talk about something too. We're going to hit in more in depth, but Florida is going digital with their licenses, or they're giving the option. So we'll talk about that more in depth. I think that they are digitalizing everything. And if you are somebody of that mindset that thinks some stuff is to go all digital, I think you're very right in some ways. So what do you guys think? Leave it in the comments below. Photos show 50 refrigerated trucks filled with of 650 unclaimed people in Brooklyn. Horrifying aerial photos show 50 refrigerated trucks filled with Stevies and Susies being kept on Brooklyn waterfront 8 months after the city's peak of this pandemic. Says haunting photographs show an aerial view of freezer trucks parked along the Brooklyn waterfront that have been converted into makeshift morgues that hold the unclaimed of 650 patients. It says the sad images show 50 trucks lined up neatly in the parking lot of 39th Street Pier in the Sunset Park of section of Brooklyn. So, okay, so these are supposedly filled with D's. Nuts. Yeah. So, do they have pictures of people in them? That's what I wonder. There's some room. I guess who is saying it, right? Because wouldn't there be room for this to be kind of a fake story, right? Where's the pictures of the actual things inside?
Yeah, definitely have to take this one with a grain of salt, but it is, it's Daily Mail. Not to say that they're
well, I mean, couldn't you
always
take
right? But yeah.
No. And again, I'm just for our own safety too. I would make sure you take, like he said, with a grain of salt. But couldn't you take a picture of any refrigeration truck and say, yeah, there's 20 people in there? Just saying.
Actually, I think later in the article, it's confirmed by the Wall Street Journal.
Okay, even
from
better.
The city. Yeah. So spokesperson for the medical examiner's office.
Oh, no, somebody said it's real. No, I get it, but, well, I mean, the Wall Street Journal said it, so it's got to be.
No, I mean, I get it, man. I can go get a picture of like 50 refrigerated trucks down at the chicken factory not far from here, and you wouldn't know. You could easily call it anything you want. So
what are they?
Yeah.
What is that? Jabba the Hutt? What the hell? Jeez. Look at that. They show the wooden coffins here. How do they not know who the people are though? That's what I don't get. I don't what? Unclaimed? Are these just lonely people that they found? I'm super confused. Did they go to a polling location? I don't get it. Anyways, I guess you guys can help me figure that out. By the way, if you don't want to be tracked or traced by the new update from your phone, you can always put your phone or device in an EDEC bag. Somebody actually commented. What was that? Somebody said that. Somebody said, I got a EMP, I got a mat, and now I'm going to get an EDEC. Thank you. But EDEC is basically, this is a super official as far as they sell these to FBI for evidence bags. It's a Faraday bag, basically, and it blocks all signals going in and out. What you can do is put your device or your phone in it. Even if you don't get through us, get through somebody else, I would highly recommend doing it if you're going anywhere you don't want people to know where you're going, because we have now recently found out again, everything is being tracked, not only by the government, but by your social media provider. All right, so this is kind of I love this story. It says, autistic boy can name any car ever made and makes amazingly lifelike photos with his model collection. It says people with autism generally see the world through a different lens. As many of you guys know, I have autistic family, and my nephew I've taken care of. He is one of the most brilliant minds I have ever met. He is so much smarter than me in some areas like history. The kid is amazing, and he is 12 years old. He knows more history about WW2, WW1, the civil conflict, than I could ever learn if I sat down for 2 years in college. The kid is a genius. And it says, such is the case with 12-year-old Anthony Schmidt. Anthony is driven by his obsession with cars. That's actually kind of like my nephew, who's obsessed with conflict and world conflict. It says his extensive collection of model cars is mind-boggling, but Anthony's love of automobiles doesn't stop there. He also has an encyclopedic knowledge of pretty much every car that's ever been built, from their first inception to today's latest model. Show him a car and he can tell you everything about it down to the smallest detail. It was a skill that came in handy for some New York detectives who only had a grainy image of a suspect's car in an ongoing criminal investigation. It says when Anthony saw the picture, he was able to identify its make, model, and year immediately, making it one getaway car that didn't get away after all. Thanks to Anthony's fine-tuned savvy, the suspect was apprehended soon after. So the kid actually helped these gentlemen with a grainy, blobby, boxy picture and found out the car like that. This is pretty amazing. And honestly, I think that we should be utilizing, I think that every autistic child that grows into a human being, they should honestly look at their potential when they're very young. These people are I almost think it's not a disability. I almost think it's like X-Men type of superpower. Again, somebody actually made me something that sits in my office. It says, autism is my superpower. That is a very great point. That is the truth. I think that these people have been gifted something that the rest of us don't have. And some of people think that this is a downside. I think autistic children and autistic people are some of the smartest people in the world. Savants in some cases. So it's pretty cool. It says when he was 9, Ramona launched an Instagram page to showcase Anthony's extraordinary work. He got a Facebook page as well. It says everyone freaked out, Ramona told the Woodinville Weekly. He gets recognized in public. There was an overwhelming response from people asking for calendars or coffee table books. Why? Because he apparently it says Anthony lives with his mom, Ramona, near Seattle, Washington. Says her son's car enthusiasm began when he was about 2 years old. By age 6, he had begun creating a photographing series of tabulous starring his model cars staged in hyper-realistic settings. So people actually get these things here. We're gonna hook this this video here so you can watch it. I think I'll be able to play a little section. Let's see. So just to show you.
Here.
Old ones?
This is an antique one.
Ones he hasn't played with in years.
It's actually metal.
But still just can't let go of.
A gift from my uncle and aunt.
Who has room for clothes?
So this kid... obviously.
For clothes.
This is the parts area.
When your drawers are packed full with your passion.
Take a look at that. Ooh, even more cars.
The first.
So I can relate to this as well. Honestly, it's something that I can totally jive with. Do you have somebody special in your life with autism that you think is one of the coolest people in the world? Put it in the comments below. I'd love to reach out to the community out there. On top of that, we were working on the forums and we're working on the state groups. We also added Play My Video to the website, marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo. If you did not know about this, we are going to be pulling from there to make shows and to be able to show videos. Basically, it's a place where you can submit your videos, but also at that point, it makes it a lot easier for us to get those videos. If you have seen a military convoy or something crazy or something in the sky or a crazy sky or a photograph of Bigfoot, doesn't matter what it is. If you've seen a Karen sighting and she's yelling at somebody at the Dollar Tree, send it to us. Again, make sure to upload it and then send us that link. But remember, you have to go to that. It's, again, marfooglenews.com/playmyvideo. And then we're going to start doing that. Once it starts snowballing, I think it will be really great because, again, you only send your video. Do not send other people's videos because then we can actually have permission to play them all in one spot. Boom, done. Again, do not send other people's videos. That's why we can't find those instances where people send their videos, is because we're looking through so many other attached videos. So remember, do that as well. That's on marfooglenews.com along with everything else. Dex, that concludes our news day. I want to thank you for being here, and thank you for everything that you have done.
Thank you, Adam. Great show.
Can you please tell me who the top 5 are on DLive, please, if you can pull that up? And then I'm going to show you guys where you can find everything. Go to marfooglenews.com. At the very top, you can find our alerts. Right here, it says sign up for alerts. That is going to be extremely important in the near future. If you can't see that, let's see here. Yep, you might be cut off there. It says sign up for alerts at the very top. You need to go do that because it is absolutely imperative. If anything was to go down, if we know of something, an emergency or SHTF situation, we would use that system to get a hold of you, at least for now. We are going to have better systems set up in the future. I hope to have a ham system set up, a network of people in different cities and states. That is down the road. Hopefully that will be something that we can do as well. Dex?
Yeah, Adam. Number 5, Frank Rivers. Thank you, Frank Rivers. Number 4, Occam's Razor. Number 3, Tattoo Mike. Number 2, Jawson. And number 1, the one and only Gone Girl 777.
Thank you so much, Gone Girl. And honestly, you can only say thank you so many times without it sounding like it's not. But we so much appreciate you. Same with Johnson. Tattoo Mike, thank you for being on that list tonight. Occam's Razors, you've been there many, many times. Frank River, I think this is the first time I've seen you there, so thank you. If it's not, I apologize. And then Gone Girl this month is number 1. Johnson is number 2. It's actually kind of a replay of what it is. Kelly2334, I hope you're here tonight, or if you're watching the replay, thank you so much for being number 3 this month. MRSA1, thank you for being number 4. And then the NPC show in one show got to number 5 and stayed there. And then all time, Amy R., I hope you're out there somewhere with a different name, whatever you are. Please make sure you know that we seriously appreciate you being number 1 all time. N Times is on that list. Gone Girl, Tower Bear, and Kelly2334. Thank you. And then on DLive, and of course on YouTube, Marvin Boggs, I appreciate that, says, where did all of this start? Let's see. Yeah. As far as this show, I don't know. You have to be more specific. I'll have to get back to you on that. My parents both own bars. Thank you so much, Haunted Doll. Kevin Klein 12. Thank you. Vibron. Thank you from Australia. I appreciate the super chat. And you guys have a great night. We are going to do a shoutro. It's not an outro. It's not a shout out. It's a shoutro. It's where I say thank you to the people that matter most. You. Get funky. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Can I see your papers, please? Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Can I see your papers, please? Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Can I see your papers, please? Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Can I see your papers, please? Hey, gonna ride it with Marvin Boggs and Vibron. Gonna bring you the Adam Klein 12, and I'm gonna do it now. I pull, oh yeah, I'm gonna roll. A Marvin Boggs and the inner city shepherd, this and that, in a while.
see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Papers, please. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Your papers, please. Thank you, Frank Rivers. AKCH3. The truth is out there. Thank you, and I do care. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Papers, please. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Your papers, please. Gotta rock it with the Ghana girl. Shout yo, got to get that whirl. Gas, electric, Jonesy, 707, and the rest of me. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Papers, please. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Your papers, please. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Papers, please. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Your papers, please. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Papers, please. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Can I see your papers, please? Marvin Boggs and the Golden Bell. JM by 5-3, John Connor and the rest is me. History with that Sky House, Blood Blinder and the rest of Blau. Going right back with the Mr. R. Jackson to do it like that, the Satric. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Your papers, please. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Papers. Papers, please. Checkpoint. Papers, please. Checkpoint. Papers, please. Laura Griffin and the lead like Lee and the rest is here. I'm gonna say that Jimmy Layoff gonna dance around like Kitty Kid. Gonna go Kit Kat, gonna bring Dick Dak, gonna go back like, oh, we got Jit Jack. Oh, yeah, with Jimmy Jones. We be low. Joseph New, house on the low. I'm gonna bring it Jay, I'm on the stone and low. Gonna bring it light, Rosanado. Checkpoint. Papers, please. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Your papers, please. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Papers, please. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Papers, please. No call Tuesday, gonna do it. Gonna bring it back low to the luckiest. Oh, hey, jammer on the one. Got luckiest followers on the bun. Bring it. Gonna sing it. Gonna do it just like you thinking I will. Hey, yeah. Oh. Whoa. Thank you, Gone Girl. Thank you, Johnson. Thank you, Tattoo Mike. Thank you, Awesome Tracer. Thank you, Frank Rivers. Let's get funky. Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Can I see your papers, please? Can I see your papers, please? Checkpoint. Papers, please. Can I see your papers, please? the haunted dog. Gonna do it just like you never did before. Oh, witness I pray. Oh, witness I pray. On a mission, gone recognition. Oh, gonna be a Frank Duck practitioner. Gonna bring that chalky gal. Unborn baby on bird egg pal. Gonna be the one on the one who's young. Gonna do it just like I did it long. Us duo. I'm gonna go duo. Right in with this with John Connor. Going right back into that corner.
All right, you guys have a good night. Let's see who we're going to host. Over on that deal, I'm going to do that top 5. host and somebody random.